Hello and welcome to Investigation Check, and welcome to the New Age Geek channel. If you're new here, we're building an inclusive space for people of all walks of life through the power of friendship and tabletop role-playing games. Tonight we have Investigation Check, our regular, irregular interview show where we talk to the geeky creators you want to know about. That being said, tonight we have streamer, podcaster, fellow interviewer, no, not a fellow interviewer, published D&D adventurers, author, TTRPG nerd, visual designer, and the two-toned chaos goddess herself. Hello, Janelle, also known as Boss JellyBean. What's up?
Hello. Not much. I'm good. How are you?
I am just dandy. Why don't you go ahead and tell everyone where they can find you?
Sure. Hey everybody, I'm Janelle, or you can find me all over the internet. Oh, I just said that. All over the internet, at Boss JellyBean, mostly on Instagram and Threads, but I'm pretty much on every social media under that name. And you can find me, also on DM's Guild under Janelle Lawson. Yeah. I'm also a part of a bunch of different AP projects. The biggest one right now being Castleton.
What's that?
That's a huge AP project that is over on Winter's Tales Co. channel. It has 150 different tabletop roleplay creators in it, and it's nuts. It's like Bridgerton meets Hunger Games. Absolute chaos.
Never heard of it. All right, that being said, are you ready to dive into tonight's interview?
I am.
Okay. Then I need you to do me a favor. I need
Sure.
you to just take us back. Take us back to little Janelle, little pint-sized, two-tone Janelle. What was like your first introduction into geekdom?
Geekdom in general.
Yes.
Oh gosh.
Was it a show? Was it a movie? A book?
I think my first introduction would have probably been like playing video games with my older brother.
Okay.
We used to play like a lot of Sonic. I would like he was like 10 years older than me. And so I would like sit and watch him play Sonic Adventure for like hours.
Okay.
That's probably like the first thing. I got into Star Wars pretty young. My dad was pretty big into Star Wars, and I became pretty obsessed with it. I still am to this day. I have an entire wall in my house that is dedicated to Darth Vader, like with a crazy amount of memorabilia. That's like my biggest collection. Okay. I have a lot of different nerd collections, but the biggest one by far is my Darth Vader collection. I have a helmet that is signed by James Earl Jones, and I'm blanking on his name, but also the physical actor in the suit. So that's like my like most prized possession. Gosh. Yeah, Pokemon was a big one when I was little. Okay. I got really obsessed with Pokemon cards. Actually, hold on one second. I can prove this on my desk up here. This is all my first Pokemon cards when I was really little.
Wow.
Yeah, like completely still have them. I still have the one from the bunch from the first Pokemon movie. So yeah. So that was a big one. And then just from there it exploded into everything else.
Well, what about like, I guess Star Wars would probably be one of the, you'd say Star Wars is like the first big thing, like where you really kind of started to slide into that geek culture, I would say.
For sure.
What is it about Star Wars then that really kind of hooked you as a kid and kind of still informs the way you play today?
I think it's a couple different things. Yeah. Obviously, the types of stories where you see a resistance going up against like this big corporate empire is, those are beautiful stories that I think resonate with a lot of people. So that in general, as like an overarching theme, is always something I find interesting. I loved the world building in Star Wars with the different alien races and things like that, the different cultures on every planet. I think it was just like the first really big universe that like I dove into, right? Where you have all these different things going on that you don't see in any other franchise.
Right.
And there was just so much of it that you could go into.
Do you think those, do you see yourself writing with those kind of like themes and stuff in mind when you do write your stories now?
Not in anything that I have published yet, but that is something that I am working on for a project for next year.
Okay.
So yeah, I am trying to incorporate that type of arc and those themes into future writing.
Do you find that affecting the characters you make when you do your like APs now? Do you find
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's kind of funny. Generally, when I make a character, I almost lean into more of the corpo or evil side of things in the beginning.
Okay.
Or like yeah, I normally almost lean into the overarching evil side of things in the beginning because I like having a character go through the process of unlearning those things, like deprogramming a little bit.
Inspired amalgamation then.
Oh gosh, that's a completely different thing. That was amalgamation was originally for those of you who don't know, this is a character I made for Somebody's Heroes, and she is a gelatinous cube that's become a humanoid through science experiments. She was originally built as a level 20 character for a PvP brawl.
Okay.
And that was me just being like, what's the most ridiculous thing I can build that people are not going to expect for a PvP fight? And I just thought it would be so funny to make a bunch of D&D players go up against a sentient gelatinous cube. And so, you know, using sorcerer abilities, I can change like all the spells to be acid damage and crap like that. So it was that was me just fucking around. And then Eric came to me about Somebody's Heroes, and I was like, could this become an actual character in a story? And it surprisingly works really well. I'm excited for our upcoming episode that we're going to be recording soon, where like, because she is in a state of, she's been learning the morals of all the people around her, because she's essentially 2 years old and learning what being a person is. So she's been picking up things from her companions, and next episode really for our recording date is where like her morals have fully solidified, and she's gonna have like a evolution because she kind of evolves every couple months.
Okay.
So that's going to be very funny for my fellow players to deal with the monster that they've created. Because like I have like a list of rules that like she has been told by other people, and those are being solid. Like those are her morals now. That's like permanent. So that's going to be really fun.
Oh God, I would love to see the inside out of Amalgamation's brain. Like, they said this is a rule, guys.
Oh my gosh, yeah, no, that was fun. That's definitely not my usual thing, though. She is a little unique bean.
All right, let's get back into it then. So at what point did you start to kind of get into the tabletop space? Like, what was kind of your first introduction into TTRPGs?
Well, I played D&D in my senior year of high school.
Okay.
And I had a very funny introduction to that, where I was playing at a table at my house with a bunch of my friends at the time. I got up to go to the bathroom, and when I came back, my friends were trying to sell my character to a troll to get over like I'm not kidding you. They were trying to sell my character to a troll to get over a bridge, and that was the day one of me playing D&D. And it ended up being a very fun campaign, but that was just, I remember being like, what the fuck? I'm gone for like 5 minutes. What the hell are you people doing? Also, I think that was 3.5e, and I didn't know anything about Dungeons and Dragons, and I put all of my stats. Like I made my best stat dungeoneering because I was like, dungeons in this word. It must be important. Must be important. And then after that, I didn't play for a couple years. I was in art school and very overworked. And then I got back into things actually because a lot of my friends moved to different parts of the country and we were having kind of like trouble staying in touch. So one of my friends, JJ, reached out to everybody and was like, hey, why don't we start, you know, like a weekly D&D game to all like reconnect and stuff. And that went on for a little over a year. And then we all collectively got very into the Adventure Zone podcast.
Right.
Yeah, like I have a tattoo from it. So we all, like, my entire friend group got very into the Adventure Zone. And then from there we all started watching Critical Role and stuff, and then we made our own channel, I think in 2017.
Okay.
Called Abandon Quest.
Okay.
And I did that up until the beginning of last year, pretty much. And we still have like a couple of things that we do sporadically, but I had pretty much up until 2023 had only been on Abandon Quest, and then 2023 I started going on other channels and doing other things.
Yeah.
Then I made my own. That's where I am now.
And what's the name of your channel now?
It's just Boss JellyBean.
Okay.
Goes by my name.
Okay. So, when you had Abandon Quest, what was that kind of process like for you, starting up your own channel in this space that, I mean, as far as I'm remembering back, it was a pretty empty-ish space at that time, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't huge. Luckily, I started the channel with my two best friends, Donnie and Mike, and they both went to school for directing.
Okay.
And video editing, and so they brought a level of professionalism to the production side of things that could not have asked for a better team. And so, you know, we all sort of lived in that design space, because I do a lot of graphic design work, and so, and all three of us also DM. So we would rotate who is, you know, DMing what campaign, and would have multiple campaigns running at the same time. So it was actually a pretty easy process on that channel. But I was also working with people who I had known pretty much my entire life. Like, yeah, because they're you know, my best friends from high school and stuff. So I had a very good experience starting up that channel at that time. But yeah.
What kind of a success did you see in that space then, coming in at that point in time?
We did like okay. A lot of we didn't really do any marketing, except for the fact that Mike ended up I mean, I don't know, I guess he did it on purpose, but he made like the most successful D&D memes account
Okay.
on Instagram just out of nowhere, and then would market our stuff. So like, I think we kind of had it easy a little bit because we had this method of marketing that was very organic. But yeah, because he runs D&D memes daily, Dungeons and Dragons memes, and crit fail memes.
Okay.
And so he just started doing that, and it was, you know, free advertising for our channel, so it worked out really well. But yeah, so a lot of my friends on that channel are very against advertising or anything like that, so we never really made money from it. It was mostly us just seeing what we could do,
right,
and pushing ourselves creatively, and, you know, learning about how to stream and stuff like that. So I got just like this very quick advanced in process class basically of how to stream, so that when I went to go make my own channel eventually, it was a pretty easy process for me to like know what I needed to do, to have set up and everything, and what worked, what didn't work.
Oh, that was gonna be my next question. Like, what lessons do you feel like you learned from that one and into launching your own channel? I'm assuming you run this channel by yourself? No.
I do, yeah.
Okay.
My current channel I run. I mean, I think one of the biggest things I took away from it was the value of consistency and branding.
Mhm.
Like having, a starting soon screen and your break screen and end screen, like all matching, going together, and being cohesive. Timing was a big one. Like having a consistent schedule is super important. Um, and the necessity of having a good internet connection, which has been my struggle, because I live in the middle of like farm country nowhere,
Mhm.
so that's been my biggest struggle right now is
Okay.
just having good internet. But um, I think another one of the biggest lessons I took away from it, and more so from like the last year and a half, has been making sure I know how to like cater to different players and different types of stories, and making sure that group cohesion, and like setting up player expectations accordingly and stuff like that. Just
Okay.
open communication.
So I have two questions then, and I want to get to both of them just as long as I remember. First, what would be like your, if someone was looking to start a channel now, not having previous experience like yourself, what would be like your number one or two recommendations for them with trying to break out into the space?
Mm. I mean, make friends
Mhm.
with people, like make genuine connections, go to other channels, watch their shows, talk to them. You know, it's invaluable how important it is to go out and meet people in this space and collaborate. And I mean, I had a lot of fun on Abandon Quest, but I think I grew way more as a creator after I branched out and started working with other people. So I think that's the biggest thing, is to reach out and make connections. Like, people will forgive you for having tech problems. They will forgive you for an inconsistent schedule. But the most important thing about being in the space is being a part of the community.
Yeah.
So.
So I met you this year at PAX. Have you done a lot of cons before this? Like, what's your con life been like?
No, so that was my first PAX that I
Mhm.
went to, and then I also went to Gen Con for the first time this year.
Mhm.
Before then, I had gone to cons, but I had really only gone to New York City Comic Con, and I had
Okay.
gone there probably like 10 times. Um, that was like kind of like my stomping grounds for a while. But yeah, no, this was my first year like going out to conventions, which has been extremely fun. And yeah, just finally getting to talk to people in the space in person was, huge,
Yeah.
because like I said, I live in the middle of nowhere and no one else lives, or actually that's not fully true. Misfit Playland lives like real close to me,
Oh,
but
does she?
besides that, yeah. But besides her, no one else lives here. So, yeah.
Okay. And then the other thing I wanted to ask is, so on your current channel, how many shows are you running?
Right now, the like consistent campaign we have is Dark Eclipse,
Mm-hmm.
which is two different all female and non-binary parties. One that is on the Shadowfell and one that is in the Feywild, and they'll be working together soon. They're working against the same big bad evil guy, which will be revealed pretty soon in the show. Yeah. So that's like our main campaign that's going on.
Uh-huh.
I did a bunch of one-shots this year highlighting newer systems. We did a Salvage Union one-shot, a Stoneburner one-shot, and we ran a game called The Widow's Web, which was really fun. So we had a lot of one-off shows, and some of them actually might be continuing forward into bigger campaigns, but that was kind of the majority of what I did this year on the channel.
Mm-hmm.
next year we have 3 bigger campaigns that are going to be launching that I am very excited about. So yeah, I'm kind of going to be leaning more into longer term campaigns next year.
Okay. And when you go about casting these shows, what is that process like for you?
Hilariously enough, lately it's been threads.
Okay.
Like, I have all these connections in the TTRPG space now through social media, and I'm still looking to meet new people. So a lot of times I will make a large casting call on threads and then kind of work my way through the list of people who seem interested and reach out that way. Or if it's like a specialized project and I have like a very specific idea of what I want the cast to be, then I'll reach out to people directly.
Right.
And then it's about, getting everybody together, making sure there's good group cohesion. Last time I introduced new players into our Feydark campaign, I had everybody jump on a call and we played Jackbox games. Okay. So like, just for everyone to get a sense of where the comedy line is for the group too, like those fair. Types of games kind of get you used to someone's humor very fast. Yeah, and so like stuff like that, like little fun team building things before we actually dive into the game. A really fun thing, a campaign that just started on the channel called Amber Ascension. That one, for that game, we played the Quiet Year first. So all the players got to contribute to the world building of the world. Oh, nice. And so that was kind of our, icebreaker game, was also world creation and world lore. And that was very fun. I think I'm going to start employing that more in future campaigns, because when everybody has a large say in the history and lore of the world, the players are way more invested. Yeah. And so that was very fun, and I really enjoyed that. When we're going to be running a Vaesen campaign later in the year, and I'm actually going to be employing kind of like a similar technique. We're going to be playing 10 candles first. Okay. But because that's more of like a horror genre for both of those games, what we're going to be doing is playing 10 candles from the perspectives of the victims of the event that is the catalyst for the investigators to go in. Okay. And I'm really excited to see how that turns out, because it's a little different. Yeah. But them essentially making the clues that they will find later. Yeah, so I'm excited to see how that goes. So sorry, to answer the original question, is just threads and then playing games together. Okay. That's what I do.
I want to ask you a follow-up question with playing 10 candles, though, and having them make the clues. Do you worry that it's going to, in a metagame sense, affect the game, or is that kind of part of the goal of that?
When you play Candela Obscura, which very different system, but it's, another like mystery genre game, generally the GM for that will kind of like describe the first starting incident of like this murder that happens. And even though they do that and you get like some idea of what's going on, I don't think it like ruins the game at all, because you still have the mystery of what caused it. So in the 10 Candles game, like they're going to see it from the perspective of the victims. That doesn't necessarily mean they're going to understand what's happening, what's causing it, or those kinds of things. So it's more like they're just going to have like victim empathy more going into like the investigation. Yeah. But no, I don't think it's going to pull away from like metagaming necessarily. Okay. I trust my players with a lot of information. Right. So we're all professionals. They'll be fine.
So how many games are you on right now? I know you're in a lot of APs.
Oh God.
How many are you currently playing in?
I don't think I've ever counted it. Okay. Castleton.
Yep.
Shadows of Ashcleen. Horde of the Dragon Queen. Somebody's Heroes. I a player in more than that? I think that's all I'm in at this second. There are other things that are gonna come up next year, but for right now, so 4
Okay.
as of right now that are like long-term campaigns.
Right. I was gonna say you've been in a lot of other things too, right?
Yeah, I've been in a bunch of one-shots and other stories throughout the year, but right now I'm in 4.
Okay.
As a player. We're not counting GMing, right?
How many other games do you GM?
Okay. Fate Arc Eclipse. I mean, I have ones that haven't started yet, though.
Right.
I don't know if I count those. I don't.
You GM on other people's channels? I didn't think I knew that.
No. There are plans for me to potentially do that next year, but
Okay.
as of right now, no.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm like trying to because I have to.
No.
Oh wait, no, not fully true. Recently I was a part of Legends and Lore by Crit Eating Grin, which was a GM roundtable campaign where it was a different GM every episode.
How was that?
So much fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, so much fun. You know, you very rarely get to have a character go to level 20 from level 1. So that was super fun because we went up by like 5 levels every, or was it 3 or 5 levels every single episode. And so that was a super fun campaign.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was very, very fun. Yeah.
So how do you go about trying, like, for people who maybe aren't in the space, don't understand these things, or wanting to come in, how do you recommend them moving into, like, appearing on other people's channels, and, like, what tips would you have for them as trying to, like, as far as reaching out for that?
Trying to think where it started for me. I made a Threads post in, like, the very beginning of Threads. That was me showing interest in having an all-female and non-binary cast.
Mm-hmm.
And from that initial group of people is when I started being invited into other spaces. So it was really just about making a couple friends, them introducing me to more, like it was all a networking web. It is really what happened. So yeah, like the best thing to get into the space is just to get out there and talk to people. There's not like a quick solution to it. Yeah. I mean, probably the biggest thing for me this year was being a part of Castleton, because there were so many people who were a part of it, and so that expanded my circle by, you know, way more than it had been. Yeah, it was huge. So, you know, that was probably the biggest thing. So it's just, you know, whenever you see opportunities, take it. Yeah. Just, you know, it's a yes and situation for the first while. Like, now I'm starting to slow down and prioritize the projects that I really have a passion for. Okay. But for the last, you know, year and a half, it's kind of been saying yes to everything I can, and meeting as many people as possible, and yeah. So the beginning is hustling.
Getting on that grind.
Yeah.
Harley, I love you. Please stop poking at your nose. Sorry. So you're in the space now. You are appearing on shows. You're starting your own channel, starting your second channel rather, getting that launched. At what point do we start to get into the publishing side of D&D and TTRPGs?
So the first game I ever GM'd, I decided to fully homebrew a world, which I don't recommend. I don't recommend that for anyone. Please start with a book. The books are there for a reason. They help you at balance and narrative ties, and it's helpful. And I think I went a little crazy with my first homebrew campaign, and then immediately was like, I'm gonna try doing a module. and ran, I want to say I did Descent into Avernus, I think was the first one. And I learned a lot from simply reading that book and then DMing it for my players and seeing, where they go off the rails.
Okay.
And then from there, it was, okay, I think I'm ready to start, like, writing and publishing my own content. And it started with, like, just making homebrew items and throwing them into the game and then maybe, like, putting them up online. And then the first thing that I really put up was I made a stat block for a turkey Tiamat. And that was very funny. And I did, like, the art for that. And there was a lot of interest in it. And then after that, it was December, and I was like, oh, well, what if I make a holiday game? And that's where Festive 3 came from, was me being like, what can I turn into a holiday game? And Baldur's Gate had just come out, Baldur's Gate 3, and I already was very familiar with the lore of the Dead 3.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually wrote the Festive 3 before playing Baldur's Gate 3. Like, I knew that they were loosely involved. I did not know how much. And so just kind of completely went into that with just the knowledge I had from regular 5e. And that was like the first thing that I published. And then from there, I got involved with Talking XP, Johnny and Andy from Margo Mods Games.
Yeah. And
we formed Three Quills Publishing to do Candela Obscura Publishing.
Okay.
Which has been so fun. I love those two to death. And that, working with other people collaboratively on published work, was another huge learning experience for me. That kind of gave me the confidence to go and do more projects that are going to be publishing next year.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, it was just like trial and error, and collecting as many TTRPG books as I possibly could, and reading them and seeing what I liked and what I didn't like about the style of how things are presented. And I focus on things a lot from a design aspect. I have, a little bit of an obsession with user experience design and making sure that things are laid out in a comprehensive way where they look good and are very easily accessible for people, especially GMs, like, while they are running an adventure.
Right.
So that's kind of been my focus going into, like, the newer projects, is making things as easy as possible to run. And that's kind of where I'm going with my publishing work right now.
Okay. And how have you felt like has it been a hard adjustment from coming on just like a hobby? I feel like that's not the right word, but a more amateur? What's the when you're not a professional? There's a word for it.
Amateur is fine.
Right, that's the word, right? I think that's the word.
Or hobbyist or something,
yeah.
Sure.
When you're coming from that into a more professional setting, where you're starting your own publishing company, which is impressive in and of itself, how have you felt like the pressure or the standards that you impose on yourself? How do you feel like that transition has been for you?
I don't think I ever looked at my hobby work as, like, holding it to a different standard than I do now. I've always kind of held myself to a really high standard, and kind of tried to make the best work that I possibly can make, because at the end of the day, I am by far my harshest critic.
Yeah.
When it, like, comes to that stuff, I will read something and see, like, a little thing out of line, and it will drive me crazy, and my husband has to look at it and be like, there are a million people would look at this and maybe one person would see that. But it will drive me crazy, and I've been that way for a really long time, like, all throughout art school and stuff. So whenever I was making stuff, even that was for a home game that wasn't even going to be streamed, I was always putting arguably too much effort into it. So So I don't know that I help like hold myself to a higher standard now. I think it's just I'm taking the ridiculous amount of work that I was doing before and actually getting paid for it. So it's not really like a difference in standards as much as it's a difference in, you know, actually receiving things back for your effort more so. But yeah.
Have you found it rewarding, at least, to kind of come into a more professional setting and put yourself out there and see that you are getting these positive reviews? Because I mean, everything I've seen so far about with the Fester 3 have been really positive. People are enjoying the system, enjoying the game. How has that feedback been for you to kind of like feel in the space?
Oh, it's a dream.
Yeah.
It's the most rewarding thing in the world for people to say like I played your game and I had fun. I had someone write me an email the other day about how much fun they had running it for their friends for the holidays, and that's what you do it for, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, giving people an experience that they're gonna hold in their hearts forever. That's the goal. You want to help facilitate good stories and meaningful experiences for people. Like that's it. That's
Yeah.
why we do this. We want to tell good stories.
So what's in store next for you? I know you're saying you're kind of slowing down on appearing on other people's channels. You've got a couple new shows you're looking to launch, and I know you've talked about some publishing stuff in the future. What did you feel like is your next movements once you gotta get this first step launched?
The biggest one for next year is this large Kickstarter project that I am running called Safe Mode Disabled.
Okay.
It is a powered by the apocalypse system that I am creating. It is a video game isekai storytelling system. So you have a playbook for your video game avatar, and you have a playbook for your real life character, and it's about those worlds bleeding into each other, and the stories that you can tell with those themes. It revolves a lot around identity and how people present themselves. So a big part of the character creation process and just the game mechanics in general, it's a lot of who are you as a person and how do you present yourself online, which is always such an interesting thing. I think a lot of nerds can relate to.
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil anything for the AP that we're running with the Kickstarter, but you know, there's some really interesting choices that players are making about what the huge differences between like those two roles. And then another huge part of the mechanics for it revolve around connections. So there are a bunch of different types of connections you can have with people, and you can have them with characters. Either you two know each other only online, you know each other only in real life, maybe you know each other on both. And these connections that you have with different people have actual mechanics attached to them. So you can be like competitive, or there's a broken connection. There's protective, romantic. Like there's all these different kinds of connections. And so before you even start the game, there's just this huge web of connecting everyone together. Eric, who is helping me produce it, actually like made a web of the connections we have so far. We haven't even launched the AP yet. And it's like this beautiful diagram of like all these different colored lines connecting everybody. And so yeah, that's the big project for next year, at least at the beginning of next year, for me.
And this is Eric from Somebody's Heroes?
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense. You said
Yeah.
webs. I was like, oh, so the whiteboard, the whiteboard's out.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I love working with Eric. I worked with him on the Castleton website.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of fun doing that. We actually have a couple things we got to implement for part 2, but he's a great person to work with.
Yeah.
So helpful, like on the production side of things. He's very good at organizing people and getting stuff scheduled and getting stuff done, which I'm not. So
yeah, that's why I called him mad genius on the investigation check. I was like, you're fucking out of your mind, but god damn it, can you organize shit?
Yeah, it's very organized.
So then once you kind of launch these Kickstarters, do you feel like you're going to end up focusing more on publishing, or do you feel like you're going to kind of try and find a balance between the publishing and the AP producing and stuff like that?
I mean, my heart is in the publishing.
Yeah.
But I enjoy, I think, producing APs like a little bit more. The combination is really great. Like going into safe mode disabled, where I'm gonna have a project launching on Kickstarter, and then also running an AP that is of the same system at the same time. Like I think that's kind of like the sweet spot. And I'd like to be like, ideally in a perfect world, I would do that probably 3 times a year, and that would be like the beautiful spot of working full time, but I still have enough time to kind of be a player in like games for fun. But like I would like the core of my work to be publishing combined with like AP producing, not even necessarily GMing.
Right.
I'd like to kind of like take a back seat on that and focus more on the production side of things and the publishing side of things. So eventually one day we'll see. I keep saying yes to every project. And
So where are you at now then with like trying to balance all these things? Do you feel like it's burning you out, or is it kind of, do you feel like the energy you're getting from the publishing side is helping to kind of like feed the other projects you got working on?
I have felt burnout a couple times. This October I was doing way too much. I definitely suffered from some burnout after that. But most of the time when I keep it like where it is right now, the nice thing about having all these different things going on, you know, having a channel and also doing publishing, if I wake up and I decide I want to work on writing, there's writing I gotta do. If I decide I want to work on design, there's things I gotta design, logos or overlays or something, right? If I wake up and I want to, you know, focus on acting or like doing some voiceovers, like I have that stuff to do too. So it's it helps me not get bored, which you know is like a real problem for me, because I will, if I work on the same thing like 3 months straight without doing something else, I'm gonna get bored of that thing that I loved, because I'm gonna overwork it to death, and I'm gonna hate it by the end of it. When I'm working on producing an AP and publishing something, I can bounce between the aspects that I want to work on that day, and it's a much it's chaotic. It is a chaotic work style, but it's a work style that functions for me like really well. So
so is there any, like, what is your creative process then for when you're trying to develop something new? What does that process look like for you?
A lot of times it starts with me having a weird idea of like, why has no one tried to do this thing? And then sometimes very quickly it's like, oh, that's why they haven't tried to do that. This is gonna be nearly impossible. But other times it's like, I don't know, like I think I could do this. So, you know, I mean, I think every project starts with, I want to see something and I don't see it out there, so I make it instead. Yeah, that's like this. That's the starting place a lot of times. Or having okay, this is a really funny one. Me and Whitney, Smoking Glue Guns, were at a con in Raleigh, and we went out late at night to, I think we went to Olive Garden and had some mimosas, and we were like, I think she said it first. She was like, what if we ran a game where all the players were chickens? And somehow that has evolved into this one shot that I'm going to be running on her channel. That is going to be Oops All Aarakocras, a level 20 like chicken run basically game where it's called Escape the Coop, and these chickens found magic items that turn them into level 20 Aarakocra, and it's about them escaping a farm.
And so like Matt's gonna make a reappearance.
maybe. So, and I'm gonna be probably publishing that adventure that I've written for that, probably as like a pay what you want thing on DM's Guild just for fun. But I'm really excited to do that. But I don't know, these ideas come out from the most random things. I don't have like necessarily a process. There's a dumb idea and I run with it.
Behind it. It just happens. Turkey Tiamat.
Yeah. I mean, the other D&D setting that I'm gonna be making for like the end of next year, that one came from playing Tears of the Kingdom too much, I think.
Okay.
And also missing Firefly as a TV show and trying to combine the two. So like, I don't know, a lot of inspiration comes from my favorite franchises and stories and things like that, and trying to do weird mashups of genres, because that one's gonna be, you know, like solar punk meets steampunk.
Okay.
And then also kind of like dark hellish stuff. I don't know. It's always interesting to take two things that you don't think go together and try and smush them together and see what happens. Like thematically. Yeah, I don't have like a where I start with everything answer.
I love it. So I know you've worked with a lot of people now. You've been on a ton in the space a ton. Is there anyone that you haven't worked with yet that you really kind of like, ooh, if there's I want to play this person's table, or I want to play with this person?
A great question. She's going to be a player at my Vaesen table, but I've wanted to play with Maz Mazzarella for a really long time.
Oh, yeah.
I'm excited to get to work with her. You know who I really want to play with, who's on your channel, is Jem.
Ah, yeah.
I want to play with Jem really badly. That's another person. Who else? Those are the two people that are standing out to me the most right now.
Okay. Well,
but
I'll tell Jem you want to be on Goodberry Cafe.
Yay!
Sure. They so I don't know if have you ever seen Goodberry? They play indie TTRPG once a month with all new cast and everything like that.
Oh, cool.
So I'll let her know.
I have not seen it, but I will check it out.
She chooses the game in advance, so I'm sure she'll let you know which one they're coming up on.
Cool.
All right. Let's see here then. So you're doing all these things. I'm sure. I mean, we've talked about the publishing feedback and how it's been really positive. Have you ever had feedback come your way that has been my words don't work too good sometimes. That has been like not the best that you, and how have you kind of dealt with that?
Recently, I actually, in the middle of a game, had someone leave the session, and that was the first time that's ever happened to me, and that was a really difficult thing emotionally for me. And I ended up reaching out to the person afterwards, and we had a long conversation that ended amicably. And I think that, like, the biggest thing I took away from that was make sure that I am establishing the expectations of the game and the campaign up front.
Okay.
Because there was like a communication issue there, and then it really just made me double down on like all of my safety tools. I ended up like updating the forms that I used and things like that. And also it has now prompted me to go over safety tools at the beginning of every session instead of just at a session 0. So yeah, just like really emphasized open communication more between me and my players. Which, you know, I was using kind of like the basic safety check sheet before then, and now I have a much more robust system, and making sure we're going over, you know, like X card at the beginning of games and things like that. So that was one of the hardest emotionally hitting, you know, feedback that I've ever gotten, but it also prompted me to really focus on my players and their emotional states and safety tools in the future. So, you know, lots of good things came out of it.
Right.
And yeah.
Were you DMing this, producing it, or playing?
I was DMing it. Mm-hmm. It was a Samurai Jack inspired one shot that, you know, just did not resonate with the player at all. And so yeah.
Yeah, it happens. Let's see here. I think we're getting close to the end. Yeah, I think we're getting close to the end here. Has there been any, like, so what has been like a pivotal moment or turning point in your career where you finally felt like things are starting to click in and you're full steam ahead to get to where you are today?
Things are finally starting to, I mean, the first time I got recognized was very, like, shocking. Because I just was never expecting it, and that happened at Gen Con this year. Mm-hmm. Where someone was like, "Oh, you're the hot mess from Castleton," which was very funny. So that was like a, I don't know if I would say pivotal, but it was the first time I was like, someone knows who I am. That's crazy. That's like insane to me. You know, I think it's the first time I sold something. Like the first couple sales of the Festive 3 were so emotional. I remember it just getting to 10 sales and, you know, me like crying. And then when it, you know, blew past 100, it was like, what the fuck? So, I mean, or like reading my first review, you know, getting emails from people who've played the game, you know, just any of those little milestones were so important to me. But I don't know that there was like one moment where it like just clicked.
Right.
It's been like a slow burn the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's been kind of my experience too. Just like you slowly just trudge it along.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's going to bring it to the end. And of course, I'm going to end our interview with the last question I ask everyone. What message or impact do you hope to leave on the geek space through your content?
I think what I would want my like message that's left behind to be would be, you know, to always keep innovating, try new things. Yeah, if make the games you want to see out there, you know? So, yeah. If you want to see something, make it.
Yeah. That's awesome. All right. That is going to bring us to the end of our interview. We are going to open up the chat now to questions. If you have any questions for Janelle about any of the topics we discussed today or any other questions you may have for her, go ahead and start putting those in the chat now. While those questions come in, though, we're going to switch over to our dicey question segment. These are 20 random questions where you get to determine by die roll. So go ahead, Janelle, and roll me that die.
Great. Also, just to plug Whitney, this is a big chonky boy that Whitney Smoking Glue Guns made me, and it has a bunch of jelly beans in it. It's so cute. Okay, it's my favorite. Okay, we're not starting strong. We're starting with a 3.
Okay. Okay. You have a team of 4 to save the world. Who are you picking? This could be from anything.
From anything?
Anything. Movies, cartoons, comics.
My like silly brain immediately went to like childhood anime. So I went Goku.
Yep.
Usagi. So Sailor Moon.
Okay.
Who are the other two? I'm just picking things from my childhood. Angel from Buffy. And
how do we go from Goku to Angel?
And Iron Man. That's where I'm at. That's my group. The group I'm picking.
Got it.
None of these characters would get along. None of them.
Whose power out of all those four are you copying for this battle?
I mean, I already have a Iron Man character. That's my character on Shadows of Ash Clean, which has been great. It's a very fun artificer build. Highly recommend it.
So you want the Iron Man armor as your copy of one of them? All right,
yes,
I love it.
Yes.
All right, give me another D4, you lunatic.
15.
Okay. Favorite movie or TV series genre? But
Okay.
it's gotta be the genre.
So the genre.
Yeah.
Does cyberpunk count as a genre?
Absolutely.
If we do TV shows, I can do this a lot faster.
Okay, what do you got?
So that would be Arcane, the cyberpunk,
Edgerunners.
2077, the fucking TV show that they did.
Edgerunners.
Yes, Edgerunners. Sorry. And then would you count Minority Report?
Yeah, I would say that's probably more along the lines of. I'd count it more than Arcane. I don't know if I can count Arcane as cyberpunk.
I think Arcane has cyberpunk. I guess
like
it's
not
more.
A single computer in it.
Like,
I'd say that's more. Like
I guess that's more.
punk.
It's more Arcane steampunk.
Yeah.
But yeah. Oh, that's also a good one. I did look it up. Also, Ghost in the Shell and 12 Monkeys. But
yeah. I don't think I've ever seen 12 Monkeys, to be honest with you. That's a movie, right?
you should see.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a very good movie. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, Matrix, obviously.
Yeah.
But, and then Ready Player One is my favorite book. I don't like the movie.
That's what I've heard. I've heard the book, people don't like the movie.
Yeah.
All right. We got a couple questions in already. So let's roll another d20, give people an opportunity to get those last few questions in. Then we will see where we go from there.
19.
Okay. Something you've created that you're really proud of. Seems like a lowball question for you, but I mean, you've created a lot, so I would like to know.
It's my favorite thing that I've created. It's not published yet. Does that count?
Sure, of course it does.
Okay. I have a book that I'm still in the process of writing called Poxy's Teeth Emporium.
Okay.
It is a dimensional hopping shop that sells magic items that are made out of teeth. It is run by this little chaos gremlin named Poxy. And she is actually my first D&D character.
Okay.
And she was this little drow that got along better with animals than people. And whenever the party killed something, she collected the teeth. It was like an ongoing gag. And then after that, when I started running my own adventures, I would put a shop that she ran that made, magical items out of teeth in every single one of my campaigns.
Yeah.
And so I've been working on this book for a really long time that it is kind of a different way of writing a module. There are 20 different adventures, but they each have a different, there are 8 different, what I'm calling story routes.
Okay.
So it changes who the big bad is, what their minions look like, but you can apply it to each one of these 20 adventures.
Gotcha.
And it's something you can run as individual one-offs, to throw it into a campaign. So the Teeth Emporium shows up on the side of a mountain or in the middle of a forest. And you can have this one-off adventure, or it can be a full campaign. And that's probably the thing I'm most proud of, and hopefully we'll publish not next year but probably the year after. But yeah,
I have a very serious question.
Okay.
How does the Tooth Fairy feel about Poxy? Is the Tooth Fairy a villain in this? Because like you're moving in on her territory, on her turf there, or does Poxy buy bulk from the Tooth Fairy? Like that's how she,
I didn't think about that. Maybe I will add that into the story because that is very funny. I can tell you that I ran a portion of Poxy's Teeth Emporium for the show Legends and Lore, which was the GM roundtable one. And I'm pretty sure I traumatized Mr. Dandy DM Andy.
I mean, probably
I think he has to put teeth on his like lines and veils now because I think I traumatized him with teeth. At one point, I gave his character because. One of the things about Poxy's Teeth Emporium is that when you buy items, you can buy them with money or teeth. So like, at one point, like, she handed his character, like, a pair of bloody pliers, and he was like, I'm done.
Was there, like, a animated... Did someone animate this? Because I feel like I've seen that.
No. Clip. Oh my gosh, I wish. That would be amazing. Not that I'm aware of. But
I feel like I've seen that. That's what's bad. Anyways. All right. Let's see. We got a couple questions in, so I think that's probably a good place for us to call it. If unless there's anything else you want to talk about.
Not that I can think of. Okay. I feel like I've talked so much.
I've enjoyed every second of it. All right. Starting with at the top, this is Eric from Somebody's Heroes Live.
Hey, Eric.
Who would be your ultimate dream table to play or DM? Let's say six other people.
6 people?
Yeah. What's your Avengers of creators?
I am lucky enough to kind of like already have this group pretty much going into another project. But Eric knows I love him. I also love working with Matt, War-Torn Knight. I love working with my Castleton family. Mm-hmm. So that's Gloria, Glow Pinksta, Connor from Cloud Kill Connor, Justice Van. What's that at? That's 5, right? Yes. So I need one more. It is a tie for me because I can't choose between them. Either Rin, Rin Vixen, or Aetherius Vampire Himbo.
Okay, I love it. Who's DMing it? And what game are you playing?
I mean, I'm probably DMing it. That's
what game are you playing?
We're playing 5e because that's my comfort zone.
Okay.
No, actually, I think it'd be really fun to throw them all into Candela Obscura.
Ooh, okay. That could be fun.
I think that'd be really fun.
Yeah. Okay, this is from Kate the Great Cosplays. What is the most challenging TTRPG system to write content for? And what is your favorite TTRPG system to write content for?
Hey, Kate. Difficult. The most difficult one. I think, weirdly enough, even though it's the one that I have the most comfort in, I think 5e is really difficult because there's so many mechanics in it. Okay. There's so many things you have to keep in mind, like with what spells are available and things like that. Sorry, what was the second part of the question?
What is your favorite system to write for?
I mean, Candela Obscura, probably. I like the process of coming up with the clues and the multiple ways that I like the mystery format of making adventures. And that really came about from working with Johnny and Andy on our Candela Obscura series. Andy specifically is the one who like kind of taught me about having your 3 clue rule and then having multiple ways and multiple locations to get each clue for your players so that it feels like a cohesive mystery. And it's so fun to watch a group of players like solve a mystery when it's well executed and placed. So I think that's my favorite one to do for sure.
Okay. All right. Also from Kate, any New Year's resolutions?
New Year's resolutions. New Year's resolutions. Not to burn out again.
Okay,
That's
that's a good one. That's a good
my New
resolution.
Year's resolution is I have to say no to some projects.
Okay. Anything
Yeah.
else?
That's the main
That's
one.
the
I
big
can't
one.
really think of any other.
Okay.
I guess New Year's resolution for my husband was that I need to wear my glasses more often. I'm not doing a very good job, as you can see.
Yeah, the first try.
But it's not gonna last long. So stuff like that. I don't
Nice.
know. Be a better diabetic and stay on my diabetic diet.
Important stuff.
It's really it seems to be like all health related,
Yeah.
and I'm bad at taking care of myself. That's the common denominator from all of these things.
ADHD.
So
All right. This is from XXSSXX13. Is there a mechanic you're most proud of creating within your games over the past year?
I think it's the connection. It's not out yet, but for safe mode disabled, the connections mechanics I'm very proud of.
Okay.
And I really can't wait to showcase that in game. I've been having a lot of fun writing mechanics for Powered by the Apocalypse, and kind of like pushing what can be done in that system.
Okay.
There's one class that I came up with that is like the in-game avatar mage. And right now I'm still kind of workshopping it, but I'm so close to like really having something cohesive and good that is going to be a move inspired from Agatha All Along, which is like a magic siphoning move.
Yeah.
Where you can tether yourself to another character and use or add their bonus from magic onto yours. So I'm really excited to get that mechanic specifically nailed down, and then just seeing how the connections mechanics for that game are going to work out. So that's probably the one I'm most proud of, having the most fun like diving into currently.
Okay. Okay, we got another question from Kate. When you list your ideal table, you put yourself as the GM. Do you prefer GMing to being a player? Why, and what helps you be comfortable as a GM?
Oh gosh, that's a great question. I don't know if I prefer one to the other. Okay, actually, I never mind. I have a better way of explaining this. I enjoy making other people happy. And as the GM, you're put in the position of I'm facilitating the game for my friends, and that brings me a lot of joy. So from one point of view, like I really like being a GM because I feel like I'm trying to give a present of a good story to all my friends. And so that aspect of it is really appealing to me. But I do think it's way more relaxing to be a player, and the part of me really likes sitting back and just letting the other person go. I definitely enjoy creating broken builds and then torturing some of my friends who are DMs. I mentioned it earlier, I have a Iron Man build in Shadows of Ashclean that I really want to mess up Mr. Dandy DM's day by wrecking havoc with my Iron Man suit. We'll see if it happens in the next couple episodes, but like making a broken build and lovingly annoying the shit out of my friends as a DM is like a special love language of mine. But that's I can't choose. I enjoy both for very different reasons.
Let's see. I think that was the last question we've got. So that is going to officially bring us to the end of this interview as we have finished rolling an investigation check on you, Janelle. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I hope you've had a good time. This has been amazing for me. I hope it's been fun for you.
I had a great time. Thank you so
Good.
much for
I'm
having
glad.
me on.
Go ahead and tell everyone where they can find you. Plug all the things you got to plug, because you are doing some amazing things, and I want people to know everywhere they can catch you.
Okay. Hey everybody. I'm Janelle, or Boss JellyBean. You can find me at Boss JellyBean all over the internet. I'm also in a bunch of different games. I'm on Eric's channel, Somebody's Heroes. I am on Castleton, on Winter's Tales. I am on Shadows of Ashkelon at Mr. Dandy DM's channel. What else am I on?
Order the Dragon Queen.
Yep, I'm on Horde of the Dragon Queen. On Wanderer's Haven. And yeah, just follow the socials and you can find me there. Oh, also the Festive 3 is out on DM's Guild. We're past Christmas, but if you still need to do a Christmas thing with your friends,
Gotta get a little of that
it's
holly
there.
jolly in. We did an episode of the Festive 3, and it is going to be posted to our YouTube channel, I think, tomorrow? It'll be on our YouTube channel soon. I think I still have to edit it. I don't know. It's been a busy week.
Understandable. It's the holidays.
Yeah. Oh, it's crazy. The links are all posted in the chat to find you everywhere. So make sure you go ahead and follow Boss JellyBean. As I said, they're an amazing creator and a fucking ton to watch. I'm Joe. You can catch me on Monday, where we run Forging Fates, our sober D&D campaign set in the Critical World of Exandria. And then same time next week, I am interviewing the second half of Table Talk podcast with Mariah of Table Talk. And I did Alejandra last week, and then I've got Mariah next week.
Ali and Mariah are both in my Fate Arc campaign.
Oh, no kidding. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They didn't
Love
mention it. Well, I'll have to yell at Mariah for it. But that's all I've got. If that's all you've got, Janelle, we're going to call it there. Stick around for the raid, everyone. And remember, love you, geeks. Good night.